Meeting of the Texarkana, Arkansas Board of Directors to order. At this time, we'll have a roll call.
Director Harris?
Here.
Director Hullabush?
Here.
Director Brewer?
Here.
Director Jewell?
Here.
Assistant Mayor Hart is absent. Director Roberts?
Here.
Mayor Brown?
Here. At this time, we'll stand for our invocation. Director Harris, do you have somebody?
I was just going to ask if anybody on the audience want to come up and do it. If not,
Would anybody in the audience like to give our invocation tonight? Volunteer? Okay. Yes, all right, come ahead. And then our pledge of allegiance will be led by our Finance Director, Tyrone Henderson. Yes, sir.
Oh, Heavenly Father, on this afternoon, we come to you just thanking you, dear Father, for letting us see another day. It wasn't because we've been so good, dear Father, but it's because you're so good to us. As we convene here this afternoon for this meeting, we hope something positive comes out of it. And after we leave here, dear Father, we just ask you to be with us and guide us as we make our way back to our homes. These are all blessings we ask you for in the name of your precious Son, Jesus. Amen.
will you state your name? Excuse me. Sir, will you state your name? Who you were? Would you state your name?
State your name. Vance Thornton.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May be seated. This time, we'll move right on into our citizens' communication time. I have one card that's been passed to me. I'll take it first. If you wish to address the board during citizens' communication time tonight, it would be helpful for us if you would fill out one of these cards and get that to our city clerk. At this time, Vance Thornton, Mr. Thornton, would you like to come forward, Ms. Thornton? They want to address something with the water meter location.
My wife, Celestine Thornton. I've got some hands out.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Do you want to have those? I'll pass them down for you.
Give him, oh, he has enough. Good afternoon to city board members. My name is Celestine Thornton, and this is Vance Thornton, my husband. We live on Harris Lane, 6608 Harris Lane in Texarkana, Arkansas. We live on a road that transfers or goes from Sugar Hill Road to 67. On November the 15th, we discovered that we didn't have a spring, as there are a lot of springs in that area, but we had a water leak. And the water leak amounted to $1,000. The repair person came out to look at the leak. It was not a broken pipe. It was a separated pipe. If you would turn to page 3 of the pictures there, you will see that we are unfortunate to have the ditch on our side of the road. And so therefore, erosion has caused our meter to move sideways away from the pipe that was adjoining the house. I consulted with the water company, the water operations department, to have them to come out and take a look and give me an evaluation, or give us an evaluation of if there was some compensation, maybe because the pipe didn't break, but it pulled apart. And after they turned it over to some company or the other to investigate, they told us no, that there would be no compensation. We would be responsible for the $1,000. I asked them if they could then move the meter so that it would not continue to shift. As you can see that it is near the ditch. They told me, no, they don't move meters. They don't put meters on private property, and they would not move that meter. I've attempted to get back in contact with the person I spoke with, will not return my phone call. That's been 2 weeks ago. will not return my phone call, even though the secretary says I will give him your message, but no phone call from that person. So therefore, we're here today asking you to consider this problem that we have, because the meter was put back together again. When I told him it was put back the same way it was put back originally, with some kind of clamp, I'm not sure what kind of clamp. I said, well, what's keeping the meter from moving again and pulling back apart? He said, well, you then would have another water leak. So therefore, we're not accepting that answer. If you would look on page, as I said, we have the drainage ditch. If you would look on page 2, I'm sorry, it is the first page. Look at the first page. That is where my neighbor's meter is. It looks like it may be in the yard because that's behind the fence line. I don't know, but it looks like it may be. I have 2 neighbors across the street and 2 neighbors on my side, which are I and my brothers, and both of our meters are on the fence line. It looks like the others may not be on the fence line, so we're just asking for some kind of consideration here. If we are liable, we're liable, but I want it to be a fair, equitable decision made. And something else I wanted beyond that point, I was here some months ago, last year, talking about Harris Lane. I thought that some repairs were going to be made on Harris Lane when the city came down and put another culvert under the road because water was traveling across the road. It was sort of a cute appearance, actually, even though it was dangerous. They put a culvert. I thought after that they were going to fix the road, but the road is in terrible shape. If you've ever been to the popular place down there, Pop's Place, across Harrison Lane, you would know that it's a sandy, well, you wouldn't know that, but the road is uneven, many levels are exposed, and it's terrible. But nothing has been done even after we came here months ago. Potholes are there, and it's a popular place to dump beer cans because it's down the hill, hidden. So I'm here, we're here this afternoon asking you to, again, consider doing something with Harris Lane, resurfacing. We suggested closing it, but all opposition came forth, I believe then, but nobody to suggest helping us to get it paved. So, yes.
First of all, I want to tell you thank you for your 30-plus years of service to the school district.
Well, thank you very much. That's kind of you.
On page 3, is this your house that's back behind this right here?
Okay, page 3 shows you what happens with that drainage ditch coming. My house is, you can't see my house. My house is to the right of that ditch.
Okay.
So it's carving out that area, and there's at least a 3 feet drop-off as you go along that road.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Another
What's your
thing on
address
that,
again?
They said the
Harris
lay of the
Lane,
land
66
is why it
Harris
was put
Lane.
at this angle.
Now,
But
can I get
but
the
anyway,
name?
with the erosion and so forth, that has caused that, my wife stated, the meter to shift. And we should be compensated, I feel like, because whoever engineered that from the outset, I don't think they had the vision to realize what could happen. And I don't think we should be totally responsible for this $1,000-some-odd water bill. They set us up on a payment plan, which we've accepted that because, you know, we're trying to do the right thing. But we're asking this board to give us some consideration on this if you can.
Thank you.
Now, what's your name again, please?
Vance Thornton,
I have it right here if you need.
Vance Thornton.
V-A-N-C.
Now,
Yes.
you're talking about the separation. Now, I suppose that's the separation is on your property versus the city property, right?
Yes.
And you're saying that the movement is not y'all's fault of the line on, is
Well,
that what you're
yes.
claiming the leak is from a
Right.
movement of the,
Well, what I said to the person I spoke with, I said the erosion caused the meter to shift. He said, well, we don't cause the water to run down the ditch. Well, I don't cause it to run down the ditch either, but for sure, it ran down the ditch and caused the meter to move.
So I guess the utilities folks are claiming that being the water was past their meter, that they're tagging y'all with a bill. Is that correct?
Yes. Absolutely, but it's their equipment that moved. My line, our line didn't move, the meter moved. And the meter detached from the line once it moved because of the erosion of the land.
So you're hoping some shared responsibility with the utilities or some kind of something?
Well, we would hope so.
Right.
Yeah. It's not like a pipe broke. It didn't break. It's separated because the meter moved.
And the response you're getting from the utility folks is that it's all y'all's problem?
And I'm not able to get in contact with him. He will not return my call. So I can have no more conversations with him.
Okay.
And I have his name.
Thank you.
Ma'am, our water utility director is in the back.
Who is
If you want to
that?
address it with
Mr.
them,
Smith.
I think that would probably be more appropriate.
Well, the answer, yeah, I'll be glad to.
What's his name?
That's Gary
Gary
Smith.
Smith.
He's the water company.
Gary Smith.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it, other than to explain why, what they told you is what it is. I
Okay.
had a $2,400 water bill, same exact thing. Wasn't my fault, wasn't their fault.
Did your meter move?
No, the line did on this, on my side of it,
My
at the
meter
meet, at the meet.
Okay.
And I had to pay $2,400.
All right, moving on is there anyone else that wishes to address the board tonight during citizens' communication time? Anyone else wish to address the board? Any board member? If not, we'll move into our presentation. We have a presentation of our quarterly numbers by the Texarkana Regional Airport budget. Paul Maryland. Paul?
Thank you very much for having me this evening. Let's see if one of these will work. There we go. So our operations numbers have been low. I'm sorry that it kind of came out this way. Next time I'll do it as a PDF so it doesn't shift. Our operations numbers have been lower over the last few years. We haven't had flight instruction out of the airport, and so we've kind of seen it returning to numbers that were back in like 2015's levels. This January, it continued to drop off. That was more because we had the snow that shut us down for about 4 days. Enplanements, though, we had 43,224 enplanements. That is the highest numbers we've had in 26 years. 1999 was a little bit higher, and so those are the best numbers we've had, but we still have ability to improve because we've had better numbers in the past. So we want to continue to see that rise. Our parking revenue was up 16% over last year. Again, it has been difficult throughout COVID to kind of predict how much more it was going to come back each year. So this exceeded what we thought that we were going to get. And same thing, rental cars, where it was down 4%, it still has been, as you can see, up over 2019's level, 27% from there. So ever since COVID really started, the rental car revenue went up, and it has kind of stayed at that level. Our load factors is kind of a strange number. What they do is the airlines will determine how profitable a flight is by how full the aircraft is. And so they want to see that each flight is about 70% full. So although our employment numbers have been going up, they've also been giving us aircraft that are larger and larger, and so it becomes difficult for us to have that same number of people, but more seats to fill for each time. So you're kind of seeing that right now. The aircraft that just started on the 15th is a 65-passenger aircraft, but it has more first-class seating, and we should kind of start to see that again, that number even out. We're hoping to continue seeing payments grow through this year, since we're planning to open the new terminal. We'll have the ribbon cutting June 28th at 11 a.m. That's a Friday. And then the following Monday, we would have the first fly out on July 1st. And then landing fee revenue, that was a new fee that we started at the beginning of COVID. That basically said all aircraft that were over 12,500 pounds that we would charge them a fee of $2 per 1,000 pounds. This created a new revenue stream for us, and we'd done that as one of the ways to kind of stopgap lost revenue from parking. As a result of that, our revenues were $3.4 million. A lot of that was pass-through for grants, so that actually went into capital. So the revenue less capital was approximately $2.4 million, but that still was more revenue than we had anticipated when we did the budget. Our expenditures were $2 million. We went just a little bit over because we'd had the fire station and the Texarkana College A&P school. We had pipes break during the really cold winter, and we had to do some repairs on those buildings that weren't budgeted for. So we ended up with a positive of $368,982. Now, because it is the two cities, they come through and they help us get to a zero-based budget, we are not to have a surplus. And so we are returning those surplus funds to the two cities. So the Arkansas side is receiving a reimbursement of $165,341. Additionally, I am opening a new account. The way that this will work is the funds from the two cities will go into that account, and each month we will only draw down what is necessary to have a $0 balance. That way, at the end of the year, it is very easy for us to see if we have any surplus, and we can quickly return that to the two cities.
Can we let y'all keep that surplus so that it doesn't cost us as much next time around?
Well, that is a question for you guys internally. You know, certainly we have capital expenditures this year that are known about, but otherwise, no. We will return that if we ended up having a surplus.
I guess, now why do we have, getting a surplus, or why do y'all have a surplus?
We ended up having more parking revenue. So basically, our employment numbers have been higher. That's the number of passengers that actually came through the terminal. And as a result of that, we had more people renting cars, and we had more people parking in the parking lot. So those revenue streams were higher than we had anticipated with the budget, because I cannot predict a 19% increase over a year. You know, it really isn't wise to go more than like a 4%. So some of that is just the expected growth. In our case, a lot of it has been recovery from COVID. I can say this year we are 100%, we are recovered from COVID. At this point, though, I would not expect to continue to see that level of growth year over year. At this point, you kind of are returning to our 2019 operating type numbers, and then from there we will move forward.
So you basically saying you gonna put the money in an escrow account per se?
So yes, that's how we're going to do it moving forward. The reason we do that is because the FAA does not allow the airport to spend its revenues on anything outside of the airport. So to make sure the FAA does not look at this as being something where money is moving from the airport to the city. See, in this case, you guys gave us money, and it was actually in excess of what you had, so it's a reimbursement. So we want to make sure that the FAA doesn't ever see that as there being positive revenues flowing towards the city. No.
Any other questions? Paul, I have, go ahead, Bert. I have a couple.
On the first slide, one of those revenue streams, I would like to see that broken down in quarters. Do you have that? That
Yes.
I can get from you at a later time?
Yes, absolutely. I can break that out by the
I'd
quarters.
just like to see that foresight and what we were, what we're doing.
Yes, absolutely. And I presented that to my board, so I will send you what I gave to them as the breakdown for each one of those.
Yes.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So when I'm looking, and you know, I'm just trying to use common sense approach and looking at it, and I don't see this in your two slides here, so I want you to explain it to me. We had roughly, last year's budget for 2023, we had approximately a $600,000 deficit between the two. I'm just paraphrasing numbers or rounding numbers. It was approximately 600 grand. Now we've got 400,000 rounded positive. So we have $1 million swing in this budget somewhere. And so We didn't make $1 million more, and then when I look over here on your expenses that we had for year-end totals, that's about 800,000 in expenses, but we had 2 million in expenses. So I'm just trying to make the numbers count. So you really had a
Yeah.
$1 million swing in your budget. Where did that come from?
So you're talking from the revenue to the capital?
Yeah, I mean, we anticipated a $600,000 deficit for '23,
That's correct.
okay? So now we've got a $400,000 surplus for
Right.
'23. So it's a $1 million
So-
swing in there somewhere. I
So
don't see it
some-
in your
yeah.
numbers as far as the increase in the revenue less the expenses.
So the revenue less capital, that includes the funds that we got from the two cities. So that is where that created that stopgap.
And then when you have your expenditures of 2 million on your second page,
Yes.
these total expenses total up to,
So basically, when we brought the budget and got that approved, that was how much we were expecting to spend.
right?
And so we had asked the cities to cover that additional amount to take us there. So that's where the two cities essentially gave us approximately $600,000. And we ended up having additional revenues between the parking and between rental cars. There are some other areas where, like we did get a reimbursement from our insurance for the building's expense. And so some of those costs. We also got a grant for the law enforcement officers, which is approximately $40,000. And so then that all got applied towards our revenue. And so as we get those kind of revenue streams, we're able to bring down then what was essentially owed. So anything that we essentially, we can't expend more on our budget just because we had the revenue, because that's what we've presented to the two cities. And so anything net positive, we were going to return.
I mean, and there's something I recall too about, we've got to keep $100,000 in
Yes.
some account somewhere anyway, so.
So with the account, essentially, so in January, when we do our drawdown, we'll have our insurance that always hits us in January, and that's one of our greatest expenses. And so we have to make sure that we have the amount in that first month that we're able to cover those costs. And so that's where that minimum balance is, just to make sure that each year as we go in, that we're going to be able to do that drawdown and not overdraw on the account.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm super happy that we have a surplus, because I feel like I could go out on a limb and say we won't see one of these for a while. But I would like to see us, and this may be something for Tyron to answer, that I would like to see us something that we used to have set up, something very similar with the Bi-State, and that is a reserve fund to where any excess revenues anticipated less budget, because even in the Bi-State, we've always had excess revenues because we don't fill all positions that are available in the budget to that, and we used to carry that forward. We don't exactly do it that way anymore because the IAC board voted to change it, but if we had something like that in place here, we could roll that money into 2024, and that would be less contribution that we
Right.
would make going forward, but whatever it would take to get in FAA compliant, for sure.
Forgive me. My plan is to, with that reimbursement, is to set up something very similar on our books, like we have for Bi-State, where we put those funds to the side only for that purpose. Since that's the purpose that the money was allocated for originally, I'll set up a restricted reserve to only be used for the airport, so that in each following budget year, we can use that money to offset the airport, so it won't affect the city's operating budget as much.
All right. Anybody have any questions of Paul?
I got one quick one. Revenues compared to projections, how are they? What was the projected revenues at this time?
Well, so that's where our projected revenues would have matched approximately our expenditures of $2 million, which is where our budget came to being regularly a zero.
Well, no, I'm asking revenues. What was your projected, at this time, when you projected revenues a year ago, what was your projected revenues to be at this time? Did you have projected for this quarter?
I was just saying we have this year's budget that just started.
That's what I'm talking. We're looking
Yes.
at,
So that's one of the challenges that we always have with doing our budget, because we have to.
This is fourth quarter budget. Oh, I'm looking at.
Yeah, so when you're looking at the budget moving forward, one of the things that we always have is to be able to meet the timeline for the Texas side, we always have to do our budget in July. And that,
This is the
it
budget.
throws off our
I
stuff,
thought
yes.
these were actuals.
Oh, yes,
This
this
is
is the, yeah,
actual.
this is the actual amount that was brought in.
So our revenue exceeded his budget expenditures by 400,000.
Okay,
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's why we have a surplus.
Any other questions?
Send
Thanks.
the email.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Paul.
All right.
Moving right along to our consent agenda, we have item number 2, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on February 5th. Item number 3, to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a purchase agreement with Texarkana New Holland for a bush hog tractor loader. Adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Belt Construction for the Nix Creek Sewer Improvement. Adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Statler Properties for the production of a concert on Front Street Stage Plaza. What would be the desire of the board? Director Harris.
I would like to take number 5 off consent.
Number 5.
I'd like to pull number 3.
All right. So now we're down to item number 2 and item number 4. What would be the desire of the board on the consent agenda, item number 2 and 4?
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll? We don't. Yeah, all those in favor, item 2 and 4, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They carry. Item number 3, Director Jewell.
Yeah, I didn't have time today to call and take care of this matter, so it shouldn't be much. I noticed on our thing we got from you, Tyler, that we're paying taxes on the tractor. Is the city subject to taxes on the tractor? We're paying $5,000. Is that a line, is that a mistake, or are we,
There's, okay, so I don't recall, we're not exempt in most things. We are exempt on motor vehicles. I'm not sure if the tractor is included in that or not, so I'll double check on that just to be
Ironic
sure.
can help you. She-
That's the one we've been over a couple of times. In the state of Arkansas, a city is not sales tax exempt. We're actually required to pay sales tax on everything we purchase with the exception of motor vehicles and anything with 4 wheels that can operate on a highway. So the tractor is considered a piece of equipment, but if it was a trailer that you could pull behind a truck, we wouldn't pay sales tax on it, nor would you pay sales tax on the truck. But any equipment, we will pay sales tax on that.
okay. Well, and I apologize, I got out of town, or I got busy this afternoon, I called around, and to other places to get prices on other tractors, like Toyota and stuff, and they're almost the same price. And of course, they were not going to charge taxes, but I guess that'd be there,
Yeah.
this good stuff.
Yeah, we got to pay it no
Pardon me?
matter what. We have to pay the
Yeah,
tax no
right,
matter what.
right. But,
Did you
course,
say,
their
did you
price-
say Toyota?
yeah, Toyota, they were $2,000 cheaper. How does a Toyota compare to, quality-wise? How does a Toyota?
I've never
compare?
even heard of a Toyota tractor.
I mean, Toyota, no, let me look. I said Toyota.
Kubota?
Kubota. How does a Kubota compare to a,
New Holland, Kubota,
Are they all about
those
the
are
same?
probably your best 2 tractor brands out there right now.
Right.
Possibly Mahindra, but historically, we've gone with either New Holland or Kubotas. We have both of them. This is a great deal that we're getting on this one. I have not been able to find a Kubota for this deal.
Right, if-
2 years ago, I got a Kubota for a better price, so I don't have a preference between the 2, but whatever's the better deal.
well, no, if we're paying taxes on, then the Kubota would cost $2,000 more, so.
Okay.
Your deal is better, and I apologize, because I intended to contact y'all today to resolve the tax issue, but I got sidetracked and wasn't able to do that, instead of bringing it up here tonight, so.
Yeah, so even though we only provided y'all with this one bid because it's a Sourcewell quote, so technically that's already been bid out, so we don't legally have to bid it out. But I don't just take that one quote. I do look around for others to see what the
Who did-
best
who did
option
you-
is.
Who'd you quote with other places, the competitors? What competitors?
Texarkana Tractor, there's another one down in Queen City that sells Kubotas that we talked to. I talked to United Ag and Turf, which
They were
they
quite a
sell
bit higher.
John Deere.
Yeah.
John Deere's historically much higher.
Yeah, I checked those.
Yeah, and I've also got a place, Little Rock Equipment, that I've purchased equipment from. I speak with them as well.
Well, you answered my question. Your deal is a better deal. And that's what I want to make sure of. And again, I apologize, I didn't have time today
No problem.
to call y'all.
So would it be acceptable to discuss item 5 and have same motions or do separate motions?
It doesn't mind, just a
Okay.
quick, make
So,
a comment.
Director Harris,
Question.
let us find-
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
My thing is that, I guess, I'm assuming this on April the 7th, with the Eclipse. thing
Yes, sir.
coming up.
Yes, sir.
And I
It's-
seen that the type of music is rock, and my question is, or my comment is that I know the board has supported country and western, now they supported rock. What's the next type of music should the city be supporting to make it seem like the city being inclusive in the type of entertainment you have in downtown, in the downtown festival? So that's the question I'm asking, or the comment I'm trying to make, because like I said, the city has supported country and western, now they supported rock. It doesn't seem like it's an inclusive place, based on the type of music that the city is supporting.
Understandable. We're open to any type of music, any type at all. Bring it to us and we'll discuss it and go from there. The group that's coming for April the 7th, the demographic that's coming for the solar eclipse, it fits into that group. The 40 to 50-year-olds that are travelers that'll be in town.
Okay, that's all. That's the only question or comment I was trying to make.
Any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve or I guess we need to read them now.
Yes, sir.
So we can read 3 and 5 if you want to, and vote same or vote separate.
Separately.
Separate. At this time, we'll instruct the city attorney to read item number 3, the resolution for a purchase agreement with Texarkana New Hall.
Whereas the Public Works Department is requesting the approval of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas Board of Directors to authorize the city manager to enter into a purchase agreement with Texarkana New Holland for one tractor loader with a bush hog cutter in an amount not to exceed $50,463.28. And whereas this purchase will be acquired through Sourcewell, a government buy board, therefore bidding is not required. And whereas funds are allocated from the Public Works capital outlay line item. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that the city manager is authorized to enter into the purchase agreement described herein in an amount not to exceed $50,463.28. Pass and approve this 20th day of February, 2024.
City attorney's read the resolution. What would be the desire of the board?
Move for adoption.
Second.
So have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Harris,
Yes.
Hollibush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes. Resolution passes. This time, we instruct the city manager or the city attorney to read the resolution for a contract with Statler Properties for the production of a concert on Front Street Stage.
Whereas the Parks and Recreation Department is requesting the approval of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas Board of Directors to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Statler Properties in the amount of $12,500 for the production of a concert at Front Street Festival Plaza on April 7th, 2024. And whereas this concert will be held in conjunction with the Celebration as part of the Eclipse Weekend events, and whereas under the terms of the contract, Statler Properties will provide music artists for a cost of $7,300, security in the amount of $1,500, production including light and sound in the amount of $3,200, and marketing in the amount of $500. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that the city manager is authorized to enter into a contract with Statler Properties for the purposes set forth above in an amount not to exceed $12,500. Pass and approve this 20th day of February, 2024.
City Attorney's read the resolution. What would be the desire of the board?
Move for adoption.
Second.
Let's have a motion and a second. Is any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabash,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewel,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, resolution passes. Moving on to our regular agenda item tonight, item number 6 is to adopt an ordinance approving the franchise agreement between the City of Texarkana, Arkansas and Ritter Communication Holdings. Ms. Henderson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, board members. Bob Mauser with Ritter Communications. I have with me Holly Danner and Trey McNeil, also from Ritter, the local folks. Holly is with our sales and support group here locally, and Trey is here on behalf of our engineering department if there's any specific questions about our network or our services here in the city. Asking for a franchise here, and Ms. Henderson provided me earlier with a draft of an ordinance you already have in place from 2017. This is number 717. It's a very similar telecommunications ordinance you have with Southwest Arkansas Telephone Cooperative and with Red River Cellular Telecommunications. So we modeled this one after that one. It is for a 10-year period that can be extended for 5-year terms if both sides agree to that. It's a 4.25% fee on gross revenues as defined here in the resolution. And I think that's pretty much the details. And I'd answer any questions about Ritter or anything else we need that would be helpful.
I do have one question.
Yes.
So most of this infrastructure is going to be underground, is that correct?
And I'll let Trey specifically mention what happens in the city, but we almost always try to go underground, and we do that with a directional bore everywhere we can too, so we have less disruption to the surface and that kind of thing. But there might be some times where we have to do a drop or something like that aerial, and if that's the case, we always contact the local utility, electric utility, and do a pole attachment agreement, attachments with those. But we try to go underground when we can. It is subject to get cut, but it's much more safe and secure under there than it is in the air.
Now, y'all haven't been doing any type of work as of yet?
Yes,
correct?
yes, we have.
Okay.
We
Have you
started in the city under just a little background, maybe more information than you want to know. In the city under a state video franchise, and by doing that, we could go with the construction and that kind of thing. I found out that we didn't have a good, y'all are in this is a lot of FCC information here, but for your local off-air networks, your ABC, CBS, CWs, all those, you're in the Shreveport area, as you all know. We didn't have a viable way to obtain those signals to get them here. I can bring them to you from anywhere else that our network is, but I couldn't get Shreveport. So we had to do this franchise instead of that video franchise.
Now, has any of the work been like on 237 or Lakewood?
I'll let Trey.
Has any of the work you've been doing been in the Lakewood area or off of 237?
That's what.
That's, okay. That's what I was thinking.
The terms of the contract, are they standard with everybody, the 10 years, the same percentage and all that?
Yes, sir. We actually mimicked this franchise agreement from a previous one we had in place with Southwest Arkansas Telephone Company.
Yeah. How about with the phone co-ops? Are those pretty much standard, those?
Yes, sir. And the 4.25 is by state statute.
Oh, it is? Now, will y'all be using subs to do the work for y'all, as far as the boring and all that? Y'all have
Yes,
y'all's
we
own-
usually use a contractor for installation, and then some of our own crews or a contractor for any kind of repairs or anything that's been disrupted, that kind of thing. Typically, we use a contractor for install.
Do y'all keep a pretty close eye on those? Because I had a very bad experience with in my business, at one of the other folks that came through. As a matter of fact, I had to wear them out because they was messing my driveway up. So will y'all have?
We have to,
local
in your
people
words, wear them out
that-
sometimes too.
That we can, that I can gripe to?
Yes.
about if the subs are messing up?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
I got a quick question. So help me out with this. This is going to be just in the city limits, outside the city limits, or we're going with 3/4 of the population inside the city. So
Inside the
who's
city
going to
only.
get the service?
Inside the city. And I can give you a little background. The company is over 100 years old. Started off as a local telephone company in northeast Arkansas, did some acquisitions through the years in the early 90s up in north central Arkansas, In the mid-2000s, got into the cable TV kind of business, biggest footprint in northeast Arkansas. Then after that, started expanding our fiber network across the states, mostly along the highway corridors. The customer there generally was cell companies providing a fiber to those towers, and then a lot of medical and a lot of the state education. We are the largest provider of broadband to the K-12 school in the state of Arkansas. And then after that, as we had fibers running through some of those towns, we started doing business enterprise services in a lot of those, just as an expansion off of that. And in some cases, residential. But here, for now, and that's kind of the history. We go in first with the corridor, business services, and if it makes sense to do a residential play on the outside of that, we do that. But right now, it's business and enterprise services inside the city.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
I guess I more or less got a comment that back in 2 years ago, in April 2022, when you was down there on East 9th Street, I guess to say I had experience with y'all also, and even though and y'all supposed to have y'all was using the state somebody 40-foot right of way, if I'm not mistaken, but from my understanding, y'all was more than 40-foot right of way on East 9th Street, 1800 East 9th Street. So what happened was the police was called trying to get y'all to move over or whatever, and that ended up being a real bad thing, because the way the police wrote the report, like he stated that I was down there in y'all way, but clearly y'all was outside the 40-foot right of way down there, because how I knew that, when y'all came back to try to repair that land, I moved my vehicle over there, and I didn't have to move my vehicle because I was within the right of my property. So, and even though one of y'all personnel contract tried to call the police to make me move my vehicle, but clearly y'all wasn't within the right of way of where y'all was putting the land at, because if that's the case, I probably would have been arrested for having my car on
Your property?
On my property,
Right.
because it was that, and then y'all still not within the right of way on 18 East 9th Street, because I even had the state of Arkansas come down there and ask where do the right of way stops at and where it began there. So he got a tape measure and went in the middle of the street, came across in the middle of the street, and it stopped at 6 inches from a fence back there. And if you go back and look at that property down there, you'll see a fire hydrant there. Y'all about 5 foot over on the fire hydrant there. So y'all clearly is not using the city right of way, and then one of y'all employee even falsely claimed that I had a weapon down there. So why would I want to have a weapon down there? And all this is in a police report, and basically all this is, you go back to my Facebook page back April 2022, you'll see all the interaction with me and your employees and the police. And not only that, I filed a report on one of your contract because he even tried to hit me with the tractor. I don't know what came of that. Yeah, oh wow, yeah. So if I did, if that one, if I would be filing a false police report if that was anything not to be true, but I don't know what became of that. So this probably gonna end up somewhere else sooner or later, within the statute of limitations. But if your contractor need to go down there and look at 1803 East 9th Street and see where the land is, see where he is y'all within the city right of way. And clearly you'll find out that y'all not in the city right. And how I know y'all not in the city right of way, because I contacted the water company, and the water company said, well, Mr. Harris, we got our land 6 inches over on your property. I told him, that's all right, leave it alone. Y'all want the issue. And so if the city got the water line 6 inches over the property, and y'all about 5 foot from the water line, that's clearly y'all is not within the right-of-way where y'all supposed to be. And then all the turmoil that your contractor called, like I said, it was police call, but police, the way they put it down, I was the bad guy, you know, but I was down there trying to protect and do what I thought was right and protect the property that I was supposed to be trying to protect. But, and that's what I have.
I appreciate that. Obviously, I didn't know anything about this story,
You
but
can
I
go
will
find
definitely find out for
this
you.
sooner or later, within 3 years, so. That's all.
Any other discussion?
One more.
All right.
You're asking for an emergency clause to start construction rather quickly or something?
So
or-
that we can get this franchise agreement in place so they continue, get the operation and services up and running in the city of Texarkana, Arkansas.
Start collecting the fee.
Start collecting?
Yes,
the-
because we'll get 4.25%.
After, so construction is what we're talking
No,
about?
sir, we get
Ritter has,
4.25%.
I mean, I may be mistaken, but you've had internet services here for quite some time.
Right.
We're passing an ordinance so you can start paying us to be here.
Yes.
Exactly right.
It's been here forever.
So you're, so
The
you're.
Telecommunications versus the original
Yes.
video.
So you already have, you already have the services in? okay.
Yes,
All right.
this
Oh,
is just to start the
construction.
collection.
Oh, okay. All right.
What about going back to 2 years when y'all was laying, I guess ask that to the city attorney. They've been laying fiber optic around here since 2 years ago. So what's stopping us from going back 2 years trying to collect a fee from the MD9? So when is this gonna start? 30 days from the day this passed, or is it gonna pass immediate?
The emergency,
I know the emergency meeting gonna start immediately, but they was laying property, if what I said is true, but why I'm gonna get up here and lie, that back in April 2 years ago, they was laying fiber optic down on East Ninth Street. So apparently, I don't know if they was serving someone down that way, so apparently, they been in the city 2 years or more laying fiber optic. So shouldn't this go back 2 years ago? I know my issue maybe be a civil matter between them, and it may be an issue that I know expect the city getting involved with, but I'm saying they've been here laying back in 2 years. And like I said, I know that for a fact. I can bring you a copy of the police report that was filed saying that they was in place, laying fiber optic on 9th Street. 2
Director
years
Harris,
ago.
I don't mean to interrupt, and maybe I can help Josh a little bit on this one, because that was the same question I asked. Because I wanted to make sure that the CD was getting everything that they were supposed to, and we went back and looked at it. They haven't been charging the franchise fee. If you look, that franchise fee is always passed on to the customer, so that is actually a fee that they haven't even been charging to the customers, and this will actually give them the right to start charging that and also passing that on to the city.
Any other questions? If not, I remind the board, this is an ordinance to pass tonight. It would need to be read 3 times tonight. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its first reading?
first reading abbreviated form.
Second.
Just have a motion and a second on its first reading, abbreviated form. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Harris,
Yes.
Hollebush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance providing for the payment of franchise fees by Ritter Communications Holdings LLC, doing business as Ritter Communications to the city of Texarkana, Arkansas, prescribing other matters related thereto, and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance has been read on its first reading. What would be the desire to have it read on its second reading tonight?
Second reading, abbreviated form, please.
So I have a motion and a second to have it read on its second reading, abbreviated form. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Harris,
Yes.
Hollebush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes. Yes. Oh,
Third reading
Third
abbreviated
reading.
oh, third reading.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm asleep. Oh. Ordinance has been read on its second reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its?
I'll just
What?
read it again. I'm sorry.
Oh, you were supposed to read it. You're the one that
Right.
messed up.
Right. An ordinance providing for the payment of franchise fees by Ritter Communications Holdings LLC, doing business as Ritter Communications to the city of Texarkana, Arkansas, prescribing other matters related thereto, and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance has been read on its second reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its third and final reading?
Third reading abbreviated form.
Second.
Motion and second to have it read on its third and final reading. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Harris,
Yes.
Hollebush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance providing for the payment of franchise fees by Ritter Communications Holdings LLC, doing business as Ritter Communications, to the city of Texarkana, Arkansas, prescribing other matters related thereto, and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance has been read on its third and final reading. What would be desire of the board to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So a motion and a second to adopt. Prior to the board voting to adopt this particular ordinance, is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against? Seeing and hearing none, could you call a roll, please?
Harris,
No.
Hollibush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the ordinance passes. 1, 2, 3. That's correct. It's 5, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes.
5-1.
All right. They have asked for an emergency clause. What would be the desire of the board to attach an emergency clause?
Motion to attach emergency clause.
Second.
So a motion is second to attach emergency clause. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Harris,
No.
Hollibush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. An emergency clause is attached. Moving right along, any director would like to address the board tonight during board commentary?
I guess I will, Mayor. What I have right here before me is a 5-year park and restoration plan, from 2015 to 2020. I don't know if the park right now is working on another plan, but and I think if not, I would like to see them start working on another plan. I know that they is meeting on the first Tuesday in the morning, first Tuesday from 8:15 to 10 o'clock each month. I guess meeting with the parks director and having donuts and stuff. But one of my concerns there, but they meeting over there at the rec center. That's what they meeting at. But if they meeting for doing a parks plan, I wish they also would go out through the neighborhood at the parks and talk to people and get feedback from there, because I even told some person about what they having over there at the rec center on the first Tuesday from 8:15 to 10 o'clock, and someone said they just didn't feel comfortable going over there. They didn't want to go over there, but I was telling them, hey, they working on a park. They might be getting information on about your parks where you sitting at, and that would be a good time. But I guess, Mr. Adam, I know you still here, so if not, I guess is any way you can just go through down at Onions Hills Park and the other park and just randomly talk to people, or just have some surveys, and you can just take and just give them around to people around now, then just say, come back and get them, or you can give me some surveys I can get to some people and just let them fill them out right there in front of me. That way you can get this information, because that's what I'm guessing that what you're trying to do. I could be wrong, but if you're not, I still think we need to be working on a 5-year park.
May I address that, Ward? It's possible, Council, can you provide me a copy of that, or I can make a copy? And therefore, we'll put together a plan with respect to identifying a current Parks and Rec plan moving forward, and we'll entertain surveys and concepts. But if I can get a copy of that to see what it entailed, and then we can move forward with respect to a more current Parks and Recs plan.
That's no problem.
Thank you.
Any other board member? Robert?
Yes. Good afternoon. I'll be brief. The fire department staff have completed their required emergency medical technician refresher course in January. They've completed that. The police department, CID, has obtained a warrant and an arrest for the capital murder suspect in a homicide on Ash Street. Public Works last week used 70 tons of asphalt on the city streets with respect to potholes and correction with the streets. And lastly, Parks and Recs, the new playground will be installed in March. That has been funded by AMP. That's all, gentlemen.
I would like to add one thing. Great picture in today's newspaper with you and a fur baby. You had to see.
Bullseye?
It was you holding a little fur baby from the animal shelter. Yeah.
I'll remind the board, our next meeting is Monday, March the 4th. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I have one.
Yes? Oh, go ahead.
One alibi. The Black History Parade is going to happen this weekend on the 24th. It was scheduled earlier in February, but due to inclement weather, it's going to be scheduled for this Saturday. That's all I have, Mayor.
Let's have a motion and a second to adjourn.
Motion for adjournment.
Second. Let's have a motion and a second. Could you call the roll?
Harris,
Yes.
Hullabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, we're